What is going on? Welcome back to Be the Fish. It is tournament day. Hobie BOS Tournament of Champions Day 1 is about to begin. Well, I say about. I'm the only one at the ramp right now because I'm always absurdly early and I can't help it. I know that I'm way too early all the time, but I still do it anyways. It's a way for me to be prepared, I guess. But we are at our ramp. We are kind of getting our game plan together, solidifying what we want to do, places we want to hit, how we want to hit them, and kind of looking at the weather, keeping track of things because we might have some storms rolling in. We have rain this afternoon, and there's some areas that are farther away from this one that we would like to hit, seeing how, after we see how these preliminary areas fish. So we're going to see kind of what we can do here. I'm going to walk you guys through our baits, and then we're about to launch here. We have 6:30 launch, 7 a.m. first cast, 3 p.m. is end of fishing for day 1. Submissions in by 4. So let me walk through the baits with you guys, and then we're gonna get on the water. All right, we got spinnerbait. I actually have a drop shot, believe it or not. Can't not have it. Got Texas rig Senko weightless, drag through that hydrilla. We got a popper. We got a jackhammer and then a slobber knocker. Yes, they're different. We have a worm to go swim. We got a gambler burner worm. We're probably gonna switch up between a few different worms. We got a Berkeley drift walker. We got a frog. Got a punch rig. I know you guys can barely see these stuff. Got another black and blue jackhammer to change up colors. We got a square bill. I think that is it. So we got a lot of options. If I had to guess, the worm and the chatterbaits are gonna be the deal today in terms of getting bites and getting those better bites, because that's what we got in bid on practice. We had one topwater bite, one frog bite. We're just kind of having them there for if we need to take 5-10 casts today with it, we have it. Because you never know when that bonus fish can come along. So that's what we're trying to be prepared for. We always bring too much stuff, but sometimes it does pay off. So it's good to have it than not. It's about go time here in 30 minutes. Yeah, 30 minutes I get to sit here and wait. We'll see you guys at lunch. All right, guys, we are to our first spot. Quick pedal. There's only 3 guys at the ramp. Well, including me, so 3 total. So 2 other people. They're 2 dang hammers though. It's gonna be interesting. I think we made a good call going to that ramp. We're gonna make a good call starting here. We'll find out if we get bit, but we're only running the back camera today. It's supposed to thunderstorm, it's gonna rain. So we're not rolling the chesty today. So you guys are getting the back camera, and I'll try to get as much fish catches on camera, but we got about 15 minutes until line's in. Let's freaking go.
Baylor, are you just fishing this left side?
Yeah, you can take the right if you want.
Perfect.
Are you guys starting here?
Yeah.
Do you guys mind if I start about 150 yards that way?
Go ahead.
Don't bother me.
Okay.
So many dang fish anyway.
Might be 9 inches. But...
Yeah, I didn't say legal.
Alright guys, good luck, man. We're
Yeah,
gonna slam them.
You too.
This is a good omen.
Let's do it. Yeah, that stuff over there, damn good.
Huh?
The right side too. I had one about 4 or 5 pounds, like completely whale over my frog over here.
You're gonna get to hear my buzzbait a lot.
That's fine. Yeah, that.
Right, first cast.
I was anticipating like 10 people here.
Me too. Guess they all heard Nolan was putting in across the lake.
Yeah. Damn.
I think he'll maybe make 12. Look at the, oh my god.
Whew.
You have got to be kidding. Uh-oh.
Giant. 14. Dude's on crack. Thing's on crack. There we go, guys. 18. Heck yeah. Next bite. Focus on the next bite. Did you at least catch a big one on it?
16. It's this rod.
7.6 medium heavy.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. You got a limit yet?
No, I got 3. What about you?
I got 2, but I got an 18.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. Good luck. When I go out that way, you want me to just cut in between these trees?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Dude. This is wild. There's number 3, 15. Here we go, guys, number 4. Hey, you guys cool if I share this area with you? Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Take all you want. We're just playing. You're in a tournament, aren't you?
Yeah. I still didn't want to be disrespectful. Figured I'd ask.
I understand. No problem. I appreciate that.
I appreciate it. What's up, Hammer?
Hey. I seem like a hammer, but I got my ass kicked.
Why?
Brian hasn't been able to upload his fish.
What is he at?
He's leaving
Real.
off that spot. Me and him are just kind of like protecting him now. We don't really know what to do, but he caught way more than me. I mean, he got there first, and I kind of eased off and let him have it.
How was he catching?
On spook.
A spook? Shoot.
I mean, I told you, it's where all these fish were coming up. We both saw them.
I'm still looking for my fifth one.
Like right here.
Yeah, he just drove over it.
He did.
Yeah, like right here by these trees. Between me and the trees.
One out here too, but
Yeah, I got waypoints from here to those trees right there. No, I was just saying like there are hard spots. Alright guys, it is day 2. It's day 2 of the Hobie Bass TOC, and as you guys saw yesterday, not a good day. The reason you didn't hear from me last night, and I'll be honest and I'll admit it, and I'll just put it out there, I completely spun out by probably noon yesterday. Things were not going my way, and tried to hold on mentally as long as I could, but I fell off the wagon, and I think that's what really hurt me. I ran into a couple fish, didn't put them in the boat, and didn't have a limit, which is a nice slice of humble pie. You know, I had a great year for getting fish in the boat, not losing fish, and the humble pie hits me on day 1 of Hobie Bass TOC, so not exactly ideal. But these are the learning lessons that make us better anglers for the years moving forward. It's a tough pill to swallow. I was kind of wrenching with myself last night and talking to my fiance of like, man, I'm just tempted to go home. You know, I'll be honest with you guys, that was the thoughts going through my head. I was thinking about quitting. I was thinking about making that 19-hour drive home. But with some persuasion from her and some time for me to think about it and get out of my own head, I am on the way to the ramp. We're gonna see what we can do for day 2. See if we can't make anything happen. So we'll see you guys at the ramp. Alright guys. Day 2, everybody already launched. I let everybody kind of go their way. We're going to take our time and see where people aren't, not get shot by duck hunters, and see what we can make happen. Alright guys, it's 1 minute till go time. We're going to fish with instinct today. kind of just let the fish tell us what to do. Hopefully we can run into a few and just kind of let fish free. That's what I do best. I just kind of fish the moment versus trying to force a plan. So there is no plan today besides go fish and have fun and see where the cards lie. Start off with a little buzz bait, see if they're going to eat top before that temps drop. Temps have dropped 5 degrees overnight. I think it's 39 degrees air temp right now. There we go. 7 o'clock. Are you doing any good in this event?
Not worth a shit. Wow, what's up?
Oh, okay, I was just gonna make sure in case I was getting in your way at all.
No, you're good.
Okay, I was just gonna make sure you weren't in like top 10. I wasn't like taking up your stuff.
No, man, no, I sucked it up yet.
Yeah, you and me both then.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Hey, good luck.
What's your name?
Bailey Egbrett.
Bailey, good to meet you. Cody, man.
Cody, you're from out west, right?
Yeah.
Hey, man, nice. Been following a bunch of your stuff. Keep it up. Okay, that was the softest bite ever. There you go, guys. 19. Sure. Well, guys, it's 12:30. We have one fish. Really sucks to work so hard all season to get to the championship and completely blow it. And not just blow it, but absolutely suck. Like I can't even catch a bass. I haven't been in this mental state of I don't know what the hell to do, or how to catch them, or where they're going, or what even to do next, or I don't know. In a very long time, I haven't felt like this. It's a big slice of humble pie, and makes me question if I actually earned this year. If you fish tournaments, you probably know what I'm talking about. This is a hard pill to swallow. Not sure what I'm gonna do for the rest of the day. A strong part of me really wants to just get off and pack up and start going home, but as much as that's tempting, I think I'd beat myself up if I quit. Even if I don't catch another bass today, and I'm sure I'd probably feel worse if I quit. We got a lot of work to do. Not even just in this tournament, but moving forward, because we can't bring this and think we're gonna keep up with these anglers. It's not gonna work. We really missed the ball somewhere. I don't know where, but we're gonna have to take a long time to evaluate this one and see where the heck we went wrong. We're gonna see if we can catch a bass. What? This is what I get rewarded with. Well guys, that is gonna do it for day 2. Tournament ends. Day 2, you know, obviously I have day 3, but day 2 ends in a few minutes, and I want to beat the rush here. Get out of people's way. I don't know. I really don't know. Worked my butt off. I tried a lot of different things and mixed it up. I went back to the same areas too. Couldn't find them. Couldn't figure it out. I'm gonna be very intrigued to listen to the winners tomorrow night when this tournament is over and see how people caught them. I know Nolan is catching it on a very specific area, and if it's an area deal, I know I can't do anything about that because I'm not going to impede on his spot, but there's a lot of fish in this lake. It should not be this hard to catch a bass. So I'm doing something wrong, and I'm half tempted to stay down here a week or two and try to figure it out, but I gotta work, gotta get home. I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. I don't know if I'm gonna drive home tonight or if I'm gonna take like a big mag draft or glide bait and go find some clear water and search for a giant. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do. I'd like to stay and support my buddies that are doing well here, but it's 19 hours home. I'd like to get a start on that. I don't know. We're gonna get off and think about it. We'll talk to you guys. Well guys, as you can see, we are in the truck. It's actually day 3. The tournament is still going on right now. It's actually, we got about 2 hours left in day 3, and I have 2 hours left until I get home to Buffalo. I've been driving since dinner time last night, and there's a couple reasons for that. Right now I'm cheering on my buddy Mr. Nolan Miner, who I stayed with, who's in 3rd place and just barely out of 2nd place. First, Brian is smoking them, 294 inches, pretty dang impressive. And Nolan's just out of 2nd, rooting for him to call up. Hopefully he's sandbagging, but we'll post the final results here at the end of the video. So there's a couple reasons why I didn't fish day 3, and I wanted to detail them really quick because I'm on the ride home here, and we're gonna do some further talking when I get home, but I wanted to lay this out for you guys. I apologize for the shaky phone. This is New York's roads here. Not as bad as Louisiana roads, but and I really encourage you guys, whether you're a tournament angler or not, to stick around for this last part. There's not fishing in it, but I really encourage you to stick around and listen because I think it's important. Because I really learned some valuable things this past weekend, this past season. This is the end of chasing hardware for 2022, and there's some really valuable stuff because I told you guys from the beginning that chasing hardware is about learning. Obviously we're chasing trophies, we're chasing 1st place, we're chasing wins, but in the end our ultimate goal was to learn. We did a lot of that this past weekend. So one of the main reasons I did not fish today is because I was so far out of being able to do anything productive in that tournament. It did not feel right for me to go out and get in the way of folks who did have an opportunity to cash a check or even win. Didn't feel right to be taking up space in the water or potentially catching fish that they might need to be successful that would do nothing for me. So I opted to not fish. And that is one thing we're going to talk about here. It's going to be ethics, and then we're going to talk about the learning lessons that we had from this weekend, because fishing has the highest of highs and the lowest of lows. And the season I've had this year has been the highest of highs, and I got my lowest of low at the biggest event of my life. So we're gonna get home here in a little bit, and then I'm gonna talk to you guys further exactly what I mean by those things. Well, we are home. We are back in New York. Tournament has ended. So
sort of the standings right here, how it shaped out for the top 3, top 5. Big congrats to Brian. Blew everyone out of the water. And to kind of watch that happen, pretty dang close to the area I was fishing. One of the best spots that didn't even pan out for me. I had bites in it, but like a group of fish that I had found in it, they just weren't there anymore. Was probably 100 yards from where him and Nolan were sharing an area. Didn't see, some of the crazy stuff because that would have been just painful to watch. I don't really watch anglers in a tournament, but basically could have watched that whole tournament go down in front of my face in terms of Brian winning it. So big congrats to Brian again. Like, dude, that was a sick performance. You smoked him. But we are back home now. I'm going to run through setups that I used throughout the week. I know a few people were interested in terms of some of the practice video I posted asking what rods, reels, and stuff I was using for slobber knocker, jackhammer, spinnerbait, etc. So I'll walk through those quick with you guys. But I'm also going to walk through this past season, what I've learned, but really lean heavy on this TOC because, it's cliche, but you learn way more from mistakes and bad events than you do good events, and that definitely holds true. And I think a lot of what I have in terms of sharing of what I've learned this year comes from the TOC, where I had my worst event of the year. I think TOC was the only event this year that I didn't get a limit. Yeah, I think it's the only tournament of the year I didn't get a limit in one of the competition days. Every other tournament this entire year I had a limit. So I'm going to run through these setups really fast for you guys because they're fairly straightforward and simple, and then I'm going to get into the things that I learned for this year. So stay tuned for that because I think it's really important. So the setup that did some damage, and I know, I should say did damage for me in practice. I know did damage for a few folks that I put onto this bite. Glad it worked out for them. It didn't work out for me. I caught a 19 on it on day 2. Was swimming a worm, dragging a worm. I was originally throwing a gambler burner worm. That was the original worm that I would swim or burn it or drag it through that hydrilla. That was the original one that I was throwing. What I have rigged up on this right now is actually it's a Berkeley power bait max scent hitworm. More of that straight bulbous tail. It was one that I changed up to on day 2 because the swimming worm wasn't working for me. And this was one that I was just dragging through and got that extremely soft bite that turned out to be a 19-incher. I have it pegged, but I have a small, let that weight fall. That way it gives, in the grass, it gives that worm more of a weightless, free swinging appeal to the fish where kind of picked that up from one of the Serious Angler podcasts that we did with Matt Beatty, who swims a worm on Lake Seminole. This was thrown on a 7.6 medium heavy Abu Garcia Fantasista. I have a Corrado DC on there. It's got 20-pound Seaguar and Vizex fluorocarbon. Again, an 1/8 ounce Queen Tackle tungsten weight. Owner EWG hook. And then again, that Berkeley Max Scent hitworm. This rod, I have 2 of the same complete setups basically, except for the reel. I actually had them as my dual threats on day 1, but ended up coughing up one of them to Ewing when he broke his rod, so I had to keep retying from bladed jig to the worm on day 1. But the other one, same rod, 7.6 medium heavy Fantasista X from Abu Garcia. I have an Abu Garcia Xenon X as the reel on here. And this was the Berkeley 3/8 ounce slobber knocker in that herring color. I think that's a Big Bite Baits paddle tail. I just wanted a pearl white paddle tail. I don't think it really mattered much. Something smaller profile. I like that kicking. I like swim baits on trailers for bladed jigs and spinner baits. I just think that tail, that boot tail kicking can kind of give it it's confidence. I feel like I get bigger bites with it. Started off and caught that 18 right off the bat on day 1. I caught a couple more on the bladed jig, but again, nothing to write home about because I didn't catch a limit. But yeah, I had to give one of these rods up on day 1, so I ended up just sticking more with the bladed jig, which I probably should have stayed with the worm. In practice, I got on a good spinnerbait bite. This is an Accent spinnerbait, 1/2 ounce spinnerbait with just a Strike King Rage Swimmer on the back, white skirt, white head, 2 double willow silver blades, pretty standard. But the rod is actually it's an Abu Garcia Pro Series rod. It's Shane LaHue's dock skipping rod. I like Adrian Avina's spinnerbait rod that they have, but for this one, I was casting this longer distances. I couldn't, because the water was clear where I was at, where I was throwing the spinnerbait. Didn't want to get as close to these trees, and I didn't really feel comfortable throwing a 6'8", Adrian's spinnerbait rod longer distances. This just made me feel more comfortable leaning the hook into fish at a farther distance with a spinnerbait. It's the 7'1" medium heavy. It's a Abu Garcia Xenon X again on their same reel as before, 20-pound fluorocarbon. Again, all have been relatively the same. Kind of get the gist. And that was really all I caught fish on throughout the week. I mean, there were some small Senko fish here and there, some topwater fish, but they're kind of like one-offs. Nothing that was consistent. Not that tournament had anything consistent, but the bites that I did get were on this. Did catch a couple on this setup as well. It's just a Daiwa Tatula. It's a Abu Garcia winch 7.6 medium heavy moderate. It's actually a composite rod, more your true chatterbait rod, whereas the 7.6 graphite was more where I threw that chatterbait slobber knocker around pads, where I wanted a little bit more beef behind that to wrench them out of, whereas this doesn't have much backbone, but if you're on an open grass flat, basically you're going to hook them every single time. So those were the setups. That was what I rocked with. But now on to the important part, and that is what the heck I learned coming out of this epic failure of a tournament. The first thing I will acknowledge on day one was I think I felt a little bit too comfortable and free starting there next to Ewing. I think I kind of let that put me into, this is not like Ewing's fault or anything like that. There was no issue the way we started fishing opposite sides. But what I did to my fault is I let myself get in a mindset of fun fishing with friends, whereas I let myself get out of kind of my zone where I'm letting myself be receptive to what's around me, really focusing on what's going on, the moves that I'm making. Whereas sometimes when you're fun fishing, you're not paying as much attention to the details, the things that help you compute that equation that's going on constantly around you, especially in a tournament. And I think that's where I started to go wrong, because I started catching a couple fish, kind of let myself slip from that. I didn't stay as dialed in as to what was going on. We got that weird front that came in that wasn't on the radar that I think shimmied things around a little bit, and I ended up, what I did is I got those couple bites in those pads, and when that storm front came through and that wind started ripping up, I left for my grass spot because I thought that would turn my grass spot on. When looking back on it, I wish I had stayed in those pads, because throughout the day, Ewing caught a few big fish in there, where I think there's a lot more fish there than I really believed, and I think I should have stayed there through that front and probably could have capitalized on it, especially losing that 5-pounder that came and didn't get my bladed jig completely, but I saw it clear as day. Lost another one back to back, and I left. I think that I should have slowed down and stayed there, and I probably could have had a way better day one. Again, I say I could have, but coulda, shoulda, woulda. It's all conjecture at this point. Like it's not solid. You can't change anything. So I think that's where I went wrong first. And then second, later in the day when I started realizing that my grass spots that I was leaning so heavily on had fish in it, but didn't have as many fish as they did in practice, like these things were loaded in practice, is I started speeding up when I really should have slowed down. And what I mean by that is I wasn't running a lot of water, but I was fishing too fast. Like that worm, I really should have slowed down more with that worm and really dragged. I should have allowed myself to essentially almost drift a little bit with that wind and allow that worm to creep through, where I was kind of fishing it way too fast when I was dragging it. It was just way too quick, not giving it the time to really find those patches within that hydrilla to let that bait sit to then trigger those bites. They definitely didn't want anything fast. I relied too heavy on the slobber knocker because I got those bites at first on it and then relied on it throughout the rest of the day, which changing with the fronts coming in, just because the front comes in, you think that you're going to catch them on moving baits. Isn't always the case. They might eat more, but they might eat more of something if it's a slower presentation, if that makes sense. And I don't think that I experimented enough with what was going on. I was relying off the preconceived notions of practice, what I was catching them on, and not trying different things. And then from there, I mean, I started spinning. You know, that fifth fish, I felt pretty good. Like, I think it was by 8 o'clock, I had 4 fish. And I thought, there's no way I'm not going to get a fifth one. Caught a couple short fish, some pickerel, and I think it was by 11:30, almost noon, my head was spinning. Especially when that pouring rain came down, I was trying everything. I went back to the pads, threw a spinnerbait around, threw a chatterbait around, and the nail in the coffin for me was going through a stretch of those pads, not catching anything, and literally 5 minutes later, Ewing goes through those stretch of pads and catches 2 18s. And that for me sealed the nail in the coffin from a mental standpoint of, I made a lot of bad decisions today. I did not deserve that one, and it was not my time. So those are the bad decisions day one that really set me up for failure for the rest of the tournament, because, I mean, another cliche thing is, like, you can't win it on day one, but you can certainly lose it. And, like, even though it's a 3-day event, if you don't have a limit, you're not in it. You're not going to be. Especially not with the 4 fish limit that I had. It's not like I had 4 big ones. So with that, I went and on day 2, went and fished a completely different area. I shouldn't say completely. I went away from I didn't go to the same launch. I wanted to respect those like Ewing and Guillermo and Nolan and them that were fishing the same area I was on day 1 and did really well. I wanted to respect their space and I don't want to take from their fish. But I also knew that I could try to move up, have some dignity, fish on day 2, and go try to make something happen. And launch day 2, went away from everybody else. There was a lot of people at the ramp that was doing well, but they went one direction. I went the other one. I went where they weren't to try and find something different and not impede on their water. And ran into that 19-incher within the first hour and thought that maybe I was onto something. You know, maybe it's just a different patch of grass that I could find that had a school loaded in it. Basically, I think it was just one lone wolf because I didn't get bit at all for the rest of the day. And I think really looking back on it is I caught that one fish, tried a couple of similar areas that I had, ran a couple waypoints I didn't run on day 1, doing the same things versus trying something completely different, slowing down, throw a drop shot, which I had rigged up, I barely even threw it. I should have gone back to the truck, packed up, and gone to a different ramp and just start fresh. And I think that's what I should have done. But we ended up getting off the water a few minutes early on day 2 and driving home. Part of me feels guilty that I drove home early, but I think that is just the competitiveness in me and not wanting to ever quit. But the other side of me is happy, and I think I made the right move leaving. I would have loved to stay and watch the awards with everybody and congratulate those that won, and I made sure to do so, at least over the phone. But I had a 19-hour drive home. Part of me would feel bad if I got on the water, and even if no one was there at the time, and caught good fish, and then there was someone that was doing well, but that was, say, their afternoon spot or later spot and came in, and I took fish from them, I'd feel guilty because I had nothing left to gain in that tournament besides my own dignity, whereas they had opportunity. So it didn't feel right to be on tournament waters for getting in the way of those people that were doing well. So I made a decision, the tough call, to leave and go home, start on my drive, and ride in silence for 19 hours while I cheered on my buddies in the event from a phone while watching Tourney X standings. So it was a mentally defeating event, going down there, waiting this long, being qualified since last April, double qualifying this year, one through ALI, one through winning Eufaula. Felt really good, was riding the highest of high, and ended the season the lowest of low of having a miserable event and just a pitiful showing. I know I'm very critical of myself, and I know that there's advantages to it, but I also know that I need to lighten up a little bit when it comes to these things. That's one thing I tried to force on myself, but I think what I've done with that, instead of just kind of lighten up, I've changed gears and used that energy to now focus and get started on 2023. I reviewed a lot of my footage and my game plan from the tournament, saw where I went wrong, saw where I needed to make adjustments, took notes on that, studied it a little bit, and have been putting my schedule together for 2023. Pretty excited for next year. Chasing Hardware 2023 I think is going to be pretty epic. You know, knock on wood. Hopefully we don't have such as bad performances as we did at the TOC. But I am very fortunate. I feel very lucky. I feel very proud of myself after the season that I had this year. Got a good amount of wins. Got a big win on Hobie BOS. And I know money's not the biggest thing, but the competitive part, being successful, putting together a game plan, sticking with it, fishing open-minded and fishing free, making good decisions, that is what it's all about. I mean, that is where that feeling of walking away successful comes from. It doesn't come from, obviously the check is nice, right? I mean, the check's awesome, but we're chasing that hardware. We're chasing that, that gratifying feeling that you beat the fish, because we might be competing against each other, but at the end of the day, it's us versus the fish. If we don't beat the fish, we don't beat the competitors. So I'm proud of this past season, but I know we have a lot to work on, a lot more to prove. Our showing at the TOC, to me, leaves an empty feeling of we didn't prove ourselves on our first year at this level of competition. We have a lot to prove going into 2023. And in my mind, 2023 sounds like a revenge tour. The TOC put a bad taste in my mouth. We have much to avenge this coming season. So I'm pretty excited to get back on the road starting in February at the Harris Chain for the Hobie BOS event down in Florida. Hopefully go wreak havoc on some Florida bass and get us back to where we need to be, prove that we belong on this trail, prove that we belong in the TOC, try to get back to that TOC and make up for that bad performance. But this wraps up Chasing Hardware for 2022. I seriously have to thank you guys for all the support this past season and the support you've shown me over social media, over text, phone calls, this channel on Be the Fish. It seriously means the world to me. I appreciate you guys more than you know. Please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends, and if you've not, to my friends over at X2 Power, which kept me powered up this entire season. I'm a big electronics guy, fish offshore, and this sucker runs my Helix 9, Helix 10, and my Humminbird Mega Live for 2 full days straight. So practice definitely makes it easier, not having to take everything out of the take it out of the truck, plug it in, plug it back in. Gives me some more time back in my night on practice days. It never leaves a doubt in my mind that I'm gonna have enough power to get through tournament day. So if you haven't yet, especially if you guys are kayak folk, whether you're kayak, boat, RV, etc., check out X2 Power. They will be able to suit all of your power needs. But guys, I appreciate you all. You're all amazing. Leave a comment down below what you're looking forward to in 2023, especially when it comes to Chasing Hardware. What you guys think of the videos this past year, the first year of Chasing Hardware. Appreciate you guys, and we'll see you in the next one.